Hello and welcome to March 13th, where we're reading Numbers 28 through 30. Now, these chapters cover offerings, festivals, and vows. Most or all of this has already been addressed previously. But remember, we're talking to a whole new generation of people, a whole new generation after the faithless generation who's starting to die off. We've got a new set of people that we need to instruct. And so God repeats himself to them, and he's going to repeat himself again in Deuteronomy. There are some things that these new people need to know to get up to speed with how they can be faithful to God and not face the consequences that their ancestors brought upon themselves. Now, if you're interested in a more detailed breakdown of what is in each individual chapter, chapter 28 really deals with a lot of offerings and such like that for the first half of the chapter. Then it shifts over into the feast days. It talks about Passover. It talks about the Feast of Weeks. Chapter 29 talks about the Feast of Trumpets and the Feast of, not the feast, but the Day of Atonement and that celebration. The Feast of Booths, or the Feast of Shelters, which is the third most important one. Israel was supposed to assemble in God's presence at the tabernacle or the temple 3 times a year for Passover, Pentecost, which is the Feast of Weeks, and the Feast of Booths, or the Feast of Tabernacles. And so those 3 are packaged in there along with the other important days. Those are the sacrifices and the feast days that are important. Again, we've seen a lot of those details, but it bears repeating for a people who has not paid much attention to this up to this point. Chapter 30 then talks about vows and how to make a vow, what goes into a vow, how do men make vows, men have to pay them, women make vows, there's a way for them to get out of it actually, and so there's a lot of mercy that's baked into that chapter for women specifically, and how they don't necessarily have to hold to all their promises. Very odd way that God goes about it, but it's fascinating to think about, and it's interesting to see his mercy. If there's anything you're wondering about that, then you can head over to the written page. There's some more details about things I found interesting in the chapters, and so maybe that might serve to kickstart some of your own ideas. And if not, then thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow, March 14th, where we're finishing out this week's reading with Numbers 31 through 33.